I might start on my elbow. I'm pulling him. My back goes on the floor again, right? The moment I decide to, okay, off balance him to the side, I gotta go back on my elbow. So I have more push. Does that make sense? Okay, and again, try to really push your forearm more to the side instead of straight back. Okay, more to the side. Now I circle my leg. And it's important, some of you guys are circling this leg in, and as this leg is coming in, you're dropping the other leg on the ground. If this happens, there's a moment where you're very vulnerable. So make sure you stay connected with this hook and you're that activated, okay, knee to the chest. So again, we're here. Alright. Now once we get here, my partner will come back. I'm just gonna put him in a nice X guard. And that right away, I cannot allow him to stay with the weight of this leg on top of me. Okay? So I need to pull the collar, push with the leg, especially with this top leg here. Okay, this is the leg that it's almost like a leg press. Okay, I'm stepping right on the near side hip. It's not X guard like this because here it's hard to push. Okay, so I step on the near side hip, and because I'm breaking his posture with the collar, there's this platform, right? If I didn't have the collar grip, he postures up tall and nice. It's hard to push him. You can see that? But because I have the collar grip and I'm breaking his posture, I'm able to use the left foot really well to push him to the side. Okay? And now we're gonna get in the same position. Elbow under the foot, I have my hand on the collar, and I'm hooking this leg. Okay? To finish the sweep here, okay, we're gonna work in some sweeps now. It's very important that when I'm controlling the X guard, I remain with this hook. I don't step here. I only step here to sweep. But the moment I step, I gotta go. It's not a position to chill. Like I said, if I stay here, you can back step, you can pull my leg up, start disengaging from the X guard. So I wanna stay here, okay? When I'm ready to sweep, I'm gonna step on the knee, I push, okay? And I'm gonna come up. When I come up, often people keep this leg on their chest or on their shoulder. You know, and they can use this leg to push you back. Okay, so instead of trying to come up like this, where they can use this to push your back, okay, what I'm going to do is as I push with the legs, I'm going to push this leg down so I can come up quick. Like there's no weight on top of me. Does that make sense? And then remain with the cross collar, putting all my weight on the collar. Okay, so I'm making sure he stays with the head down and he's not able to face me. And this also helps me to build up. Make sense? Now once we get here, I level change, I start lifting the leg up, pushing the head down, stepping between the legs, and I should finish the sweep. Okay? Often you're gonna be in this fight where sometimes it's holding the collar and people just drive forward. If we just drive forward, sometimes they can use the momentum to go X guard on me. Boom. And then might sweep it back. Leandro Lu was very famous for this. Okay, so instead of just driving forward, what we're going to do is we're going to circle in. Okay, then we kill the momentum. Okay, let's try. 1, 3, 1, 2. We get to the X guard again, boom. We go to the X guard, my partner's standing. He's putting weight on me. I'm gonna reach the pins. Okay? If he drops his knee back on the floor, now it's time to go. Just pushing it up. The only difference is instead of holding pins and collar, I have the old pins. But often they'll stay standing, putting weight on you. Okay? I cannot get up. When I feel this, I'm gonna use my right foot on the hip, as well, so both foot is on the ground. Okay, both feet. I'm going to load him on top and switch direction. Does that make sense? Now I get up on top. Okay, so let's practice both. First, as soon as we get double pins, my partner will drop his knee on the ground. So as soon as I get double pins, my partner will drop his knee on the ground. Now I push him further, get up. And then we finish this sweep. Okay, here he's going to be fighting, like let's say he's still, I can use my head on his hip to push me back. Just make sure you hold both hands, you'll be good. Okay. The second one, we grab both hands, but he remains standing and he's still trying to pull weight on me. Both feet on the hip, load him on top, switch to the other side, pushing it up. Okay, and now we have both hands. Now just make sure like you have strong grip, because often they try to arm drag off this. Just stand up right away, maybe go even between the legs, just stay safe. One, you drop the knees on the ground. So, 3, 1, 2. Alright guys, bring it in. Q&A time. If you guys don't have any questions, we can go straight to sparring too. Just please don't kill me, okay? Yeah. But the questions can be anything. It can be related to technique we worked. It can be from totally different techniques and scenarios. It can be mindset. It can be anything. Personal questions. Maybe not too personal. I don't know. Yes.
Well, one thing you said a lot was just stay safe.
Yeah.
So like you kind of tell that like the way you ended your sweeps, you always went to like the safest spot you possibly could. Can you expand on that?
For sure. Yeah. So like from any position, like you're gonna have multiple options. Like sometimes, let's say you're playing close guard, you're gonna have multiple options. That you're playing your own top mount, you're gonna have multiple options. But between those options, you're always going to have options that are safer and higher percentage. Does that make sense? Or for example, an easier way to see this, for example, takedowns. There's multiple takedowns, but then there's takedowns where it's high risk, high rewarding, but low risk and high rewarding. Does that make sense?
So when you're competing, do you typically try to go for the safest things?
Yeah, usually I'm trying to get like high rewarding for the lowest risk possible. Like that's one of the best ways to play. Like it's safe. Obviously, for example, you're on top, like flying triangle from top position. Sometimes you see those techniques in tournament. It's high rewarding if you hit it, but high risk. You can be on bottom, and they can score a sweep off that. Does that make sense? So usually when I'm training, when I'm competing, I try to like prioritize low risk techniques, approaches, just because it's safer. Okay. Maybe in training, like I don't mind, like in training, like training is training. It's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to lose round. But in competition, like sometimes that triangle attempt from top position costs you the sweep and you lose because of that. There's this guy that he fights really well, Fabrizio Andre. Like he's a showman. He fights forward. But often sometimes he loses matches because he goes for submissions and he ends up on bottom. So I try to play safe in competition.
So I know a lot of the times, like watching you in competition, you do the same position as today, but then you make an underhook on the leg. When do you choose to do that? And then are there any different attacks that you like to do from that position?
Yes. Can I use your guess? Yeah. Yeah, so often I will play the underhook de la Riva, right? It's a great effect. This one you're talking about? Yeah. So this one here, it's great. I love this. I started doing this a lot when I was pro. And from here I have two options, right? Like attacking the outside or inside. The outside would be like reaching a deep de la Riva, forcing to expose the back, taking the back. The inside will be more like today's approach, where I hook the knee, now balance it to the side here. And this is very safe. Like from here, if I want to, I can start playing X guard. Okay. I can start going waiter, so more attacking the back from here. Sometimes getting a sweep, but mostly getting behind, taking the back. And yeah, like even X guard, full locks, there's so many things. But usually I play this when I'm competing against people more my my size. That's it. You know? Like sometimes it can be very difficult to balance your pawn if they're a lot heavier in this position. I get a lot more off balance when I'm here. Just here. And also more freedom. If anything, let's say things are not going well, that's putting a lot of pressure on me. Things are not going well, I just take my leg out, I reset, I play a different guard. With this, sometimes things doesn't go well, but they close the distance in a way where now it's kind of hard to let go of this grip. And if I let go, I'll be vulnerable for a moment.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
For sure.
Yeah. That's my approach.
One more?
Yeah.
So sometimes I see you feed this lapel too. So you go here, here, and there. What are you looking from there? Is that just a little bit more stable version of this?
Yeah, usually like you see me playing this when my partner is very spazzy, move around a lot.
Okay.
It's a way to control him better, you know. But from here it's the same thing. I can do the same thing. I can off balance him to the side. You know, let's say up there. I can start stepping on the hip and getting to the X guard with more control. You know, it's just a way to get more control, more friction. Cool. You know? Not to stall. I'm against stalling. Yes.
I have a question from that same position. I don't play it a lot, but the times I have, the guys will you do that underhook,
Yes.
and I'm wondering if like, what do you do to prevent this? They just kill.
Yes.
They kill this.
Correct. Yeah. So honestly, like with underhook de la Riva, with a regular de la Riva, it's good to have the hook if you're able to. But often your partner will be pushing the hook down, and there's not much you can do about it unless you're controlling the sleeve. You know, so I don't focus so much on having the hook. When they kill the de la Riva, I just try to bite their calf like this.
Okay.
My whole goal is to not allow you to move around with this leg. So let's say we're just here, try to move your leg back. Try to drag me across your mat. You see how I stay tight even without the hook. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's say like you're pushing here. I cannot have the hook, I'll just bite. But the moment you switch the collar, I go back to the hook.
And same thing when you have the underhook. So like.
Yeah, same thing. I'm here, I'm just staying tight.
Okay.
Yeah, because my attacks will not, it doesn't really matter. Obviously the deep to the hip will matter, I need a hook. But let's say you're pushing this. If I'm able to just roll it to the side, start underhooking this leg, I can go outside on this side. You know, it doesn't really matter if I have the hook.
It's just the bite.
It's just the bite that stays tight.
Thank you.
Yes. Any other questions? Yes.
So when I'm passing lasso, so we're here, and I usually like to go to like this side and maybe there's some kind of smash or something, but I feel like if I try to pass lasso to this side, I'm opening myself up to like K guard, like they're able to throw their leg over. Is there like a way, like am I too upright, or like how do you like to pass? If you pass, do you like to
Around like that? Yeah, what I like to do, let's say I'm using this approach where I get around the legs here. I like to actually bring it back and force like a side smash scenario. You know, where now here I just reach the collar, and my goal is just making sure I keep his knee in and eventually bring my knee to the floor here. Now I've already killed the lasso, there's not much you can do here. I just gotta watch for him to not flip it to the other side. But here's a matter of just extending the hand out, breaking the grip. And now once I'm out of once he let go of the sleeve or I break the grip, I start passing this high smash. Just like circling the leg around the ankle, getting behind the back. You know, often I can also, let's say he's holding, he's not letting go for nothing. You know, I can switch, get behind, get my elbow over the leg, and now I just use this to break the grip. It's a great approach. I feel like if you're going around like this, it would be difficult for you to pass just around over the head. Like sometimes you're exposed for the omoplata sometimes, K-guard like you said, you know. So usually if I'm doing this approach here, it's more for the leg drag. But sometimes leg drag can be hard to stabilize here because your knee stays out. So often I'll instead force a side smash. Even with the knee out, I'm already smashing here. I start using my chin, my chest over the leg, and then eventually I'll get to the leg drag. Does that make sense? So often you see me doing this over here. I'm fighting, he has a shadow lasso, you know, I'm here. Now I'm here. Okay. Makes sense. And obviously, let's say we're here. and he's opening too much. I lost the control. Boom. I can start long stepping.
No, that's a great option too. Does that make sense?
Thank you.
Good.
Yes.
So from the technique you were teaching today, do you usually just come up for the sweep, or are you like looking to attack like footbox? Like, what is it like depending on what they're doing, or just
No,
whatever
it's
you're feeling?
more on your approach, I think.
Okay.
Like once you get in the X guard, if you have good control, you should be able to like dictate the pace. Like, okay, I feel like going for the full lock. Submissions, you go for it. You know? It's just because like my game, like everyone has different game, right? But obviously there's a full lock guard. You know, it's one thing that I've started to like add in my game nowadays, because most of my submissions will come when I'm competing. It will come either from side control, mount, or the back. You know, and if I pull guard, that means that I usually sweep or I take the back. You know, but if I sweep, I gotta pass, and then I find submission opportunities where it's the dominant positions, right? But you also have submissions from bottom, like X guard, full lock, toe hold, leg lock, triangles. You know, so it's just different approaches, I would say. You know, like obviously, sometimes depending on how they reacting, like some of the submissions will be very difficult to hit, but then they might be exposing sweeps. Sometimes they're defending the sweeps too much, they expose the submission. You know, like it really depends. You know? It's hard to say like this for sure. You know. For example, can I use you, John? Let's say I'm like in the X guard, right? Like one thing I started using a lot. Like John was even saying like he was watching my matches and he noticed like I reached both pants very often. Let's say my partner has a knee on the ground here, and I'm playing one leg X here. I'm holding the pants, right? I'm trying to reach the pants, but he keeps moving the leg back. That means this leg is light. So now I'm doing a lot of toe holds. Does that make sense? So like I was looking for double pants for a sweep. He started avoiding that, but now I switch for a nice submission. You know, so like, and vice versa, right? Sometimes you're looking for a submission, they defend the submission, you attack the back, or you attack a sweep. You know, so it's all it. Yeah, you just gotta be well-rounded, I would say. You know, like kind of map out everything. So like if they do this, you have this. If they do that, you have that. You know, that's how I like to see jiu-jitsu. Like this isn't true. You know, I start making like maps. Okay, from here connect to here, from there connect to there, and that's how I try to go everywhere. Hopefully one day. It's there are a lot out there to improve. You know. Yes.
What's your what's like going through your mind when you're preparing for like a high level match or like your warm up, or like how do you dial in and prepare for that?
You mean the day off or
Yeah, like
just in
just,
general?
just like the day of the tournament before the match, whatever.
The day of the tournament
Yeah.
or preparation?
Yeah,
Which one?
a preparation for the match.
Like
Right
so the
before the
weeks
match.
or right before the match, the day of.
Yeah.
I like to like do the same thing I always do. You know, like I don't like to add anything new. So let's say on a regular basis, right? Before training, like I have a cup of coffee. I'm not a guy that has pre-workouts, so just a cup of coffee. You know, I like stretching, loosening up my body, warming up, and then training, right? Like rounds. You know, that's how I feel comfortable. That's how I feel like my body is most ready for rounds, you know, hard rounds. So in the competition day, I'll do the same thing. I'm not gonna have a pre-workout if I don't often have a pre-workout before training. Does that make sense? I will not listen to songs if I usually don't listen to songs before training. Does that make sense? One thing is a big mistake I see people do is they don't warm up at all before competition. Sometimes I think they're just too nervous, they forget about it, or sometimes there is not a good warm-up area. You know, it happens often. But then they just go straight to the match. You never do that in training, right? So I like to everyone's different. But what I usually do, I get to the venue, I like to stretch by myself, like 15-20 minutes, just to lose up the body. And then I'll start drilling a little bit with a partner, and then I just ask my partner to just go hard, just try to kill me. You know, because that will like actually wake you up. You know, like sometimes just drilling doesn't wake you up. It doesn't open your lungs. You know, it doesn't circulate blood. You know, and then you go to the tournament there, the first match, your forearms like super tight. You gas out. You know, you feel like your cardio is bad. but because your lungs are shut down, you know. So I like to sweat a good amount before stepping to my first match, you know. And yeah, it's nothing new to be honest. Like people, I was doing Worlds Final this year, and for the first time, like they had like a special setup, right? Like, where like they they turn off the lights and it's just like a big light in the center. You know, like it was kind of special, you know. And some of my friends, my teammates, were like, "Oh, like it must be like so like different to be in there, you know." Because from the outside, it looks like a big stuff, you know, like big deal. But when you're in there, you don't really pay attention to those things. You know, everything is kind of like you can't really see outside. You're just you and your opponent. You know, it's just like a training part. You know, right now in San Diego, Altos, California, we are in ADCC camp, and the mat is packed. You know, and but when I'm training, for whatever reason, I'm so locked in that I don't really see people around me. But sometimes the other day I was watching a video of me training. So many times someone could just fall on top of me, but I was not bored about it at all. You know, I was just that locked in. You know, so focused. And I feel like in tournament it's the same thing. You know, like I try to not like I try to not spend energy with the outside stuff and just focus on my own thing. And obviously, the more well prepared you feel, the more calm you're gonna feel. The more less prepared you are, the more nervous and anxious you're gonna be. I've been on both sides. You know, like so, I've been not in the recent, a long time ago with collar belts. Sometimes I would do a tournament where I wasn't really feeling well prepared, but I would do it anyway, and I would feel more nervous about it. But most of the times that I was able to fight well was when I was more calm. And I feel like sometimes people like to hype themselves before the match and get like just the nerves going. You know, I feel like it's hard to take the right decision when you're emotional. You know, I like to be more calm and more rational instead of emotional. I feel like I take the better decisions when I'm in the calm state.
When you start your matches, do you have a preferred strategy? Like, do you try to pole guard your favorite spots? Or do
It
you
depends
try to
on
do
who's my
both?
opponent. You know, like nowadays at the black belt, not for everyone. Like, obviously, if I don't know who I'm competing with, I'll still study him. Uh, but if he doesn't really have any strong point, then it's just okay, whatever I prefer. You know, like if I feel like pulling guard, I'll pull guard. If I feel like being on top, I'll be on top. But if I'm competing at the highest level, where like with good opponents, where they have their strengths but also their weakness, I always try to match the game where it's in my favor. So let's say I'm going against a really good guard player that I feel comfortable passing, but I know it's going to be a struggle. If I can start off on bottom, that will be a better match for me. Does that make sense? So it really depends on who I'm facing. But honestly, I feel comfortable bottom and top. Like I feel pretty comfortable with being on bottom, being on top. Often I have to pull guard because sometimes my opponent doesn't want to pull guard. And the only part that it's not like I don't know anything, but I feel like today it's still a little undeveloped. Is my standing game, like takedown aspect of the game, and I think because I always have the option to pull guard, so that's what I've been doing since collar belts. But that's the only thing I feel like I sometimes my opponents are able to take advantage of. Like if they don't want to be on bottom, they can just kind of stall on top, and eventually I'm like, I'll just pull guard. I want to fight, But that's the one thing that's one part of my game that I'm trying to develop more lately, the standing aspect. I even started some judo classes. I'm learning.
Question. All of us are on a different journey in this process, right? So what advice would you give to people who are either just starting out or those who are part of the way through or, you can go by belt or anything? But
I think like making sure you're having fun, and not pressure yourself too much. Sometimes like one thing is doing like elite level, right? Like world class and that's how you bring food to your table and things like that. And you still like even when you're in that scenario, like just putting extra, there's a lot of pressure on you already. Putting extra pressure on you is not going to help, right? But I teach classes, and I would say 90% of the jiu-jitsu practitioners, they're more hobbyists, And sometimes I see them like going home like upset because they had a bad round. I'm like, chill. You're just training for fun. Chill, like it's okay. I do this my whole life and I always have a bad round. Like imagine you, like who trains like a few times a week. Like chill. Don't take things too serious. Try to have more fun. I think just living life more lightly. Like sometimes they practice just for fun, but then they end up not having fun because they're so like locked in, or like sometimes they put too much pressure on themselves having to perform. They don't have to perform at all. Obviously we all want to improve, right? That's why we train, and we don't want to just be like the same forever. We want to improve, But even for improvement, you need to be having fun. The more you're having fun, the more you're going to improve. That's fact for sure. If you're more like, oh man, I don't feel good. Training is too tough. Like you're not going to improve. You need to be like in a good mind. You need to be happy. You need to be having fun in order to improve. So the advice would be like try to have fun, put less pressure on yourself. Don't be upset because you had a bad training. It's normal. Sometimes it's just a matter of like living life a little lighter. Yeah.
What do you want to be in 5 years?
Where do I want to be in 5 years? It's funny, I was just talking about that yesterday with a friend. I think today I'm 24. I turned 24 this year. I think in 5 years I want to have that's where I want to maybe open my own school, my academy. I'm not sure where yet. For sure in America, but I don't know where. But in 5 years I want to be opening my own school already. And up until that point, I just want to, like, compete as much as I can and really give everything I have, for this athlete career. Because it's a little short, right? Like, there's just so much time that you can actually compete at the highest level just because we all get old and it's not the same anymore. Then there's always a new cycle, right? New athletes coming up, and it's never the same guys at the top for so many years, right? Like, sometimes you see like Cristiano Ronaldo, LeBron James, those guys, but they're like, I feel like they're also playing a sport that it's worth staying at the competition scenario for long, right? Like they get paid a lot, right? Like, but in jiu-jitsu, like, I don't know how much is it worth to be spending your whole life just competing for that long. Does that make sense? Like, there's so much that you need to like sacrifice about in order to be at the top of the sport, in competition aspect. For example, like, you're cutting weight. There you go. You cannot go eat out with friends, with your wife, with your husband or with your kids. And I feel like the competition is something I want to use to build and just be able to like reap fruits with my family eventually. Like it's not something I plan on doing forever. Like I'm 24, maybe I'll compete until like I'm 30, and then that's it. After that, I want to open my school, help people out, give opportunities for people that I feel like they deserve. Like just like I was given the opportunity to one day leave off jiu-jitsu and teach classes and be competing and being sponsored, this and that, and just build my life with jiu-jitsu. I want to eventually do the same for others. I don't know where yet. Maybe in California, or maybe not in California because things are too expensive. We'll see.
We've got room in Iowa.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see. Like I really have no clue where I will open my academy. But for sure, I will. In America, for sure. Any other question?
Cool, guys. Let's do a group picture real quick,
Yeah.
and then if you want to get a picture with Andy super quick, we'll rapid fire it, and then we'll put on the round timer, get a lot of rounds in. One thing, if you get the opportunity to roll with Andy, this is not your chance to get over on him. Andy knows that you're tough, okay? A lot of people, like it's a real privilege that Andy is going to roll with us. A lot of people that do seminars don't, because People come in and try to go as hard as possible. Andy knows you're tough. You're going to do good jiu-jitsu just like you do in the room. We're not going crazy, okay?
Thank you guys.
Thank you, Andy. So everybody lining up over.
Where I'm able to force this position, where my partner has a nice knee shoot, sometimes reverse to hit the hook, or it doesn't really matter. It's more like this in there. Okay. Usually, the hardest part is dealing with this knee shoot here. Okay, this is what's really keeping the distance, right? So what we're gonna do here is the first thing, how to position yourself on top. Okay. Often when people are on this position, they have this knee pointing like this. And I think this is the biggest mistake. Okay, I'm not really applying pressure on my opponent. I'm turning to the side. It's hard to face him. I get off balance easier. So the first thing I'll do is point my knee straight to his stomach. This is the biggest difference. Okay, even when John will feel it, he has a tight reverse to the hip hook. Keep it very tight. When I'm like this, I'm helping him a lot. It's a lot tighter. Just by doing this, he feels it's not as tight. Okay, so this will help you a lot to put more pressure and also weaken his legs a little bit. The second grip, which is very important, is finding this collar grip here. Okay, it's the collar grip that will allow you to start closing the distance. Okay, and often people on bottom too, like him on bottom, he doesn't want to have me controlling the collar. Okay, or he shouldn't be allowing me to have the collar for too long, because with the collar I'm able to start closing the distance. I'm able to frame. Let's say he's trying to get to the leg, the far leg. I'm able to frame. And also this collar grip is really strong. So as soon as you get to the kneecap position, first on top, you should be aiming for the knee on the stomach and then hand on the collar. Okay, those are the first two things. Now my right hand here, started dealing with the knee shoot. Okay, some people grab right here at the edge of the pants. This is good. I really like to grab right on the side of the knee. I feel like here's where I'm really able to drag his knee away. Okay, especially you're training against people who has like long legs. Like you're pushing, the pants is right here, the knee's still in here. It's difficult to deal with the knee shoot. So I'll address right here. Okay, and here, if it's sideways, it will be very difficult for you to push the knee shoot away. Okay, and also if your body's on top of the leg, you're stopping yourself. Okay, so the first thing we need to do here is I use my knee to fly him a little bit. Okay, but it's not fly him here where I'm off balance. Okay, now here he can, yes, and I start getting up on my leg. I'm very off balance. What I'm doing is I'm more like 1, 2, but I use my knee. So let's say let's say he's locking his legs tight, and I was not using my hand. I'll do this. 1, 2. You guys see my knee? Just by this, I'm already dragging a little bit his knee shoot. Because he's attached on my leg. Often we have this hand on the hip. Let's say I'm not using my hand, just my legs. I go 1, 2. Does that make sense? But then with the hand will help a lot more. 1, 2. Now I start bringing my upper body in front of his thigh. Okay? And now my right hand can slide and control the hip. Now here eventually I'm trying to grab a pants or a belt, close my elbow. If you try to get a knee shoot, very difficult. If you try to palm the leg over my shoulder, very difficult. See it? So often people teach dealing the knee shoot with this. But here they can frame on you, buy time and just palm the leg. Even if he doesn't grab the sleeve, just palm the leg. This is not really helping much. But when I'm able to do more like 1, 2, 3, try to palm the leg, it's very difficult. Just gotta be careful with the omoplata. But as long as you're trapping this bottom leg, there's no omoplata. Obviously, if I come all the way down here, now he can start taking omoplata. But from here, try to omoplata. There's no omoplata. Now from here, my goal is just to get my knee on the ground and start getting a nice cross raise. Okay? In the beginning, I might have the collar. He might be tucking his head in. I'm using this collar to just open him like this. Okay, and that's when I adjust the crossface. And when you're adjusting the crossface, it's very important that you grab as tight as you can, not just staying on the collar. Okay, so you can use your right hand underhook to bring him off the floor, reach right under his back, and now before applying pressure, I pull him in. Okay, now I start applying shoulder pressure, and then pass. Often just with the pressure, they will let you pass. If you're still holding your foot in the half guard, just kick the top leg, free, go hip to hip, and now we stabilize the pass. Okay, but the thing is how to, it's obviously, you know, the whole thing is important, but the most important is just beating the knee shoe, learning how to beat the knee shoe. Okay, so let's say he has a tight knee shoe, he's locking his feet, collar grip, knee on the stomach, you go 1, 2. Okay, let's try to stay tight, John. Okay, now here, my knee is on his stomach. My goal is to start bringing back everything to that side and getting this knee on the ground. Okay, climb under hook, adjust the crossface. Grab the gi, roll him in, shoulder pressure. Now we'll start passing. You got it?
If you have a frame on your cross collar, do you break that before you drag them back to center?
What do you mean? Right here? This one?
Yeah.
No, I don't mind.
Still do the same thing.
I still do the same thing, yeah. Over here, like let's say he has tight issues. And I'll be here.
Okay.
Because eventually he's gonna start pushing me with this. You know, like he doesn't want just to pull me anymore. Sometimes they're gonna be framing.
Yeah.
This is uncomfortable. I use my underhook. That's it. So it was uncomfortable, right? Yeah. So I use my elbow here. I can reach behind the gate if I want. I use my shoulder actually behind his elbow and start bringing his arm above his head. It'll be very uncomfortable. Now I can adjust myself back. Start passing. Okay. Any question? Let's try. So in the beginning, you know, try to have your partner just staying very tight. Okay, because I know it looks very simple, but I'll be honest, like I start actually being able to do this with like being efficient, doing this, beating the knee shoe, brown belt and above. You know, like I've always drilled like this, but it never really worked really well, you know, against good people. So just have your partner really tight here, trying to stay sideways on the knee shoe, because you need to be able to flat him. If he's already flat, obviously, you know, like he's letting you do stuff. Just have your partner sideways, with the leg really tight on the knee shoe. Okay, everything else doesn't really matter, just this for now. Okay, and your goal will be using your knee mostly to be able to start beating the knee shoe, as well your hands stay tight. John. You see that? Now I'll come back. And then from here we can start controlling the head and passing. But the most important now is how to beat the knee shoe. Okay? Let's go. 1, 3, 1, 2. 1. My knee is pulling this back as I use my hand as well. Now that gap, I bring my upper body in front of the thigh and slide it. Okay, so he doesn't have space to bring the knee shoe back. Now once we go back to knee cut here, the first thing I'm doing here is just sliding this a nice underhook. Okay, because I'm just here. He might be trying to get the underhook on me, you know. So we'll go back there. I'm not going to the head right away. Okay, because often this will open the space. So I stay more like this, try to get the underhook down. You see, there's no space. You see how I'm not, my arm is just, I'm stretching my left arm. I'm not trying to go to the upper body yet. Okay, I'm more like pushing myself back towards his hip. And then little by little I start climbing this, making sure he doesn't get the underhook on me. Now I go for the crossface. Okay? Some of you guys are passing like this with the collar. Okay? It's not wrong. You're able to pass sometimes, just holding the collar. But once you free your foot, he has a lot more freedom with his head, and it's gonna be a harder pass to stabilize. Okay, he can fight better. He can frame inside the collar here, start fighting. Sometimes they frame inside the collar, inside this collar here, and then they duck under. Now they start inverting, you know, like all this. It's gonna be a lot more difficult to stabilize. So make sure before you free your leg, it's just your foot is stuck. You know, there's not a lot of things you can do here. Okay, barely anything. So once you get here, just take your time to really control the head. Okay, and really grab it as deep as you can, where now there's no space between my arm and his neck. You guys see that? I'm able to force him to look away. Now from here, I free my foot, I pass. Okay, try to move, it's gonna be a lot more difficult. Okay, one thing too is your knee here, your knee position. I don't slide my knee away. Okay, so my right knee here is on the ground, pushing his hip. It's always in touch with his hip on the bottom. Okay, let's say, just ignore my hands, imagine how nice cross face. I pass, right? If I slide like this, some of you guys are doing, he's able to frame on my bottom knee and now his hips. Okay, it's gonna be hard from both distance. So you just keep your knee tight on the hip, you're gonna pass, you move your foot away, but your knee stays there. Does that make sense? Yeah, I don't slide my knee away. Right, so if I'm here, I'm gonna have a cross face. 1, 2. I'm always pushing my knee against the hip, and I'm also using my elbow to control the far hip. Because he's going to try to escape, so what I'm trying to do is really connect my right elbow with my right knee. Does that make sense? You guys got it? Any question? Let's try a little bit more. Okay, on 3, 1, 2.
I have to get so close to them that they make a scoop grip. Am I
So let's say I'm here, they have this scoop grip here.
Yeah, it's like when I start to go this way, I feel like I get
I
close
see.
and then they get underneath.
So what I try to stay tight with the issue here. What I try to do is like my hand in the collar is I'm pulling myself, but sometimes also pushing myself back. It really depends on your reaction too. But like let's say I'm here, stay tight in the leg. I'm more like, you see what I mean? Like it's more like a frame sometimes.
Yeah, you're pushing there on my shoulder.
And even if you get a scoop grip, like if I'm able to beat the knee shoot here, I'll just go 1. And sometimes I'm able to go back to the knee cut, even the scoop grip. Sometimes I feel off balance. Let's say, yes, I just dropped my knee on the floor. You know, now I'm in half guard chest, I can start passing from here. You know, like let's say you have a scoop grip here, and we got to this position. If I'm able to at least lock my feet, now the scoop grip will now help me. Try to get it under. You see that? Like I'm locking my feet. And meanwhile, I'm just in the cross face. I can start passing from here. Right? But the thing is about managing the distance of this leg, you know, like not going too much like this. More like, you know, like keeping this leg a little away. But also not too open where you can pull the bottom leg out. Because if I'm here and you pull the bottom leg out, now I gotta reset everything. I'll lose the collar. Make sense? Yep. Because I mean,
If he pulls his foot across the hip like that, do you let go of the collar? Or do you keep the collar and pass the leg over?
sometimes I'm able to keep the collar. You know, it depends on how deep and how tight he pulls the leg. Let's say he pulls the bottom leg out. Sometimes if I'm able to, or just insert back and hop back in place. You know, sometimes I'm able to do that. Sometimes we're gonna be here, he pulls it out. I can just kind of like step over like that, using my inside knee to push it down. It really depends. If that's not working, then I have 2 options. I can switch sides. I can go to this side here and get a collar on this side. Or you can really insist on getting this back in place and reaching the collar again. It really depends. Any other question? No? Okay, now, because this is the most important part. Just learning how to beat an issue. Okay, so let's do like, stay the same partner. Let's do like a little situational, okay? Where your partner is just trying to keep the issue. He's not gonna be trying to sweep you or anything. He's gonna lock his legs tight. He wants to stay sideways. He's gonna be framed, but he can't break any grip, okay? So once he reaches the collar, you know? And his goal is just to stay here. Just control the knee shield. Okay, your goal will be getting past the knee shield and landing in this position. Okay, it doesn't mean you need to pass. Just if you're able to get here, it's up to you and your partner if you want to continue until you pass or you know. or you lose the pass. But the most important is getting here, like where you're like chest, half guard position. You guys understand? Okay. So your opponent just doing their best job to keep this. You're doing your job trying to beat the knee shift. Okay. And one thing that I just want to show that it can happen is when they exaggerate, they stay very sideways, like this. Sometimes it's hard to really flat their hip on the ground. Okay. But when this happens, they're really exposed to the cross grip passing with the arm leg whip like this. Okay. So I'm able to start grabbing the bottom pants. If I already had the collar, now I start freeing my leg and passing. Like they're really exposed. Okay. You guys, if your partner end up like turning sideways too much like that, like playing a low knee shoe and sideways, you guys can go for that too. Okay. That's right. It doesn't need to be 100% the situation, it's just so you'll feel with the resistance. Okay? On 3, 1, 2.
The like leg position, I'm ready to go. They're able to turn in so much that I feel like I can't make the crossface and turn their chin. Is that where you're ratcheting your hand first?
Can I see? Once I've been an issue already?
Yeah, so it's like we get here, and because I was pushing with this, it's like they're turned in kind of like that. And I feel like when I make this transition deep, they're like able to.
I see how they just turn.
Yeah, they eat it.
Yeah. What I try to do is I'll adjust my hand as deep as I can, and I'll start stretching. Try to turn. You see that? And if your chin go over my arm, I'm able to hug your head.
Oh, okay.
Usually what they try to do is duck the head under. That's what I want. What I'm trying to avoid. Like my partner ducking the head under. Because if I pass here, he's gonna turn better down. Yeah, you see that? So I can't really do that. I mean I could, but it's not gonna be very effective. So I'm here. I'm trying to avoid him from ducking under. Let's say he's trying to duck the chin. I start doing this. You see, and now I control the head. And then from here, like obviously it's not gonna be as tight in the beginning, but then I take my time to really adjust. And now it's super tight. Does that make sense?
100%.
Okay. Any other question? No? Just one thing here, okay? We don't need to practice this. I just want to show us how someone will get in step. Let's say you're here in the cross face, and I showed passing using your free leg to free the leg. But sometimes they'll underhook this leg, they'll grab the pants, this part right here, and they don't allow you to use that leg. Sometimes they even underhook, let's say you underhook the leg, and then you can't really use that leg. Does that make sense? When they underhook this leg here, it's very important that you keep your knee on the ground and don't try to force mount position, because it's not going to become a mount. If I try to go mount, it's going to become a deep half. Okay? So I cannot allow my partner to bring me to this side. I really need to bring him to I really need to stay on this side. Okay? But I'm not going to be able to pass here with this crossface, unfortunately, because he's underhooking the leg and I cannot free my leg. So when this happens, my right hand, I need to grab the collar that has some control. I'll let go of the crossface. I'll push his head, place my head on this side. Okay? Now he's still underhooking my leg tight. I'm going to use my head to push his head away, to weaken the grip. Okay. Now my left hand will underhook his elbow. Now I just kind of sprawl and I pass with the one instead. Now here I can pass with the knee cut, or I can go to the mount because it's not underhooking my leg anymore. Then I free my foot and then I pass. Does that make sense? Okay, just because I saw someone who is getting stuck on this.
Yeah, shut up one more time.
Actually, let's practice this. So now, let's say we got here, okay? Actually, let's do this. Because a lot of you guys already got the knee cut, okay? Getting there. Let's do a different way to get there, okay? So let's say we're from the De La Riva, right? And sometimes, like, I see people, like, they hold the collar, they bring to the side, they can switch. This works, But sometimes when they have a strong leg and strong guard, it can be difficult to do that. Especially when they're holding the pants here. And they have a strong control here. It can be difficult to bring your partner sideways. This is not going to happen like that easy, So what we're going to do here is just going to start from the La Riva. Okay. And also, sometimes, let's say, open guard. Let's say I get here. Sometimes there's this fight where I can't really reach that collar. Does that make sense? He's avoiding. If he's a good guard player and he's good at keeping distance, he's not going to let you hold the collar that easy. No. So what we're going to do is we're going to start from the La Riva. Okay? I'm going to have a pen grip here just to control this leg on the outside of my hip. Not allowing him to step in between my legs or off balance me like this. You can see that? So bring it past my hip. My right hand will have grip on the collar. Okay? If he has a strong De La Riva hook, if I'm able to use my elbow on his knee, like pushing his knee down, okay, and also stretching my leg to deal with the hook, I'll do that. So if I'm able to do this, beautiful. Sometimes it will be very tight, and you can't really do that. Then you go 1, 2. You see that? Now once let's say we're here, I'm able to do it with my elbow, boom, okay? Now what we're gonna do is very simple. I'm gonna bring my left knee in the middle, and I'm gonna windshield right. Once I break the grip, I'm already holding the collar to the knee cut. Does that make sense? Instead of getting here and trying to find that collar grip. Sometimes it can be a fight here. Okay? So it's just different, just a way to get to the knee cut, and then we practice the move with it. Okay, again. So he has the La Riva hook. 1. In the middle, open your knee. Look how my knee, okay, goes over his shin, behind my arm, right? I'm not going over the thigh because it's strong. He can push me away, okay, or I'll get stuck here. So I'm here. I can clear it with the hand, knee forward, hold the collar, stay tight. I go 1, knee in between, and we get here. He's still holding the pants, still holding the pants. He's going to have a strong knee shield. You want to adjust the pants grip? Yeah. Sorry. So my goal is to get here. Okay, my knee wide open. I'm holding the collar here. Try to balance me here. It's very difficult. Okay, very, very difficult. I can even post my elbow on the ground. Holding the collar. Don't let go of the collar, because that's when he distances himself away. You know. But you should have, if you have this knee in between, like a knee on the stomach, like a knee cup position, you have a frame. It's a way to keep him away. If you're like this, he can start off balance you more with the knee, with the foot. You see that? Sometimes he's able to load you back on that side. So I want to stay here. And now here it's just a matter of either me breaking the grip by wiping my foot out, or him letting go of the grip. Because he feels like, man, I can't really do much with this grip. As soon as either of that happens, I need to step forward and start adjusting my knee cup stance. Knee cup position. Does that make sense? Is it too cool? I don't know if it's making sense. Make sense? Yeah. Okay. Then once we get here, you know, we do the knee shield, we pass, we get here, they're going to underhook your leg. All you're going to do is hold the collar, push his head to the side, place your head on the ground, push his head away with your head. You're going to underhook the elbow, okay? Now start sprawling this leg back to free this leg. Now adjust the underhook. I'm able to start holding inside here like this, the collar, I see that. I use my thumb in, shoulder pressure, try to move a little bit, John. It's very difficult. I can finish with the knee cut, or let's say it's super tight. Often I'm able to insert this foot inside, turn my knee out, and go straight to the mount with double unders. Okay, and then from here we have arm bars, a lot of options. Let's got it. I'll do one time, like normal speed. But no, it doesn't need to be fast. Okay, so let's say he's here. Let's go on 3, 1, 2. You're here already, and he's like hugging this leg so you don't pass, right? And we get in this position, and I shoot underhook, free my leg. Okay. Once I get here, like I could pass with my head on this side, but it's gonna be a little less pressure, okay? It's gonna be ideal even to climb the underhook. Because my head's on this side here, he's gonna be closing the elbow. This is not a good underhook yet. You know, eventually I wanna be able to get like his arm touching his head. You know, but to do that, my head has to move. So I go like this. You guys see that? And now if I can, I'll reach the lapel here, come inside. But look how my head's on the opposite side of the underhook. Now usually a rule is your head will most likely be on the opposite side of the underhook. This one is like a different case because I have double unders. So in fact, it doesn't really matter much. I could really pass here, you know. But you're gonna apply more pressure having your head on the other side. Well, a good example I was giving is like, let's say half butterfly, you know? And I get a near side underhook, not the far side, near side. My head cannot be on the same side, otherwise I'll be off balanced. You know, so as soon as you shoot the near side underhook, your head has to be on the other side. Does that make sense? Now I can palm my left foot inside, start passing to a knee cut, and now I have the wonders. I could technically pass to this side with the head on this side, or I could switch sides so I have more pressure. Does that make sense? And then pass. Okay. I'm gonna give you guys like a few minutes, like 3 or 4 minutes, to use the bathroom, drink water. You guys can drill this if you want. Okay. And then we'll bring it back for the next technique. You got it? Okay, on 3, 1, 2. It's hard to like undo this. If he's doing a good job hooking your butt, like you're not gonna be able to clear this. You know, you're very off balance. Sometimes they even lock the feet together. You know, like then you're definitely not. You need to start passing from here. And like I said, there's one here where you bring your palm to the side. It can work, but it's more difficult. You know, like from my experience, if they have a stronger from the pants and they have this like here, you know, it can be difficult to get him sideways. Okay, and even if you do bring your partner sideways with this, now you're dealing with an issue. You know, like there's a big fight here. It's like I said, there is a proper way to beat an issue, but it's not easy. You guys felt it, you know, like. So there's a nika that I like to do. That once we get to the position, we're already gonna be here instead. So if I do it right, I won't have to worry about an issue. Okay. A guy that was really good at doing this was Leandro. Okay, that's the guy I learned from. Like not learned from like personally, but just watching. You know, I remember I was a green belt, like I think 14 years old. I attended one of his seminars, and this was one of the techniques he showed back in I think 2014, and I used instead. You know, and funny story, like my black belt debut, I fought this like I think it was 8-man bracket or 16-man bracket. I'm not really sure. I know I had 3 matches. It was my black belt debut. Like I think they were paid like $10,000 for the winner. I fought against Johnny Gripple, my first match, and I used this technique to pass him. You know, and he has like one of the greatest guard in jiu-jitsu. Like, he's very good. So let's go straight to the technique. So let's say we're here, and he's like, let's say he's not locking the leg. He's just like this, on his side. It's just like yesterday, the same guard we played yesterday. Okay. The first thing I need to make sure here is I'm not off balance, right? So the main thing he will use to off balance me is this collar grip. So I'll make sure here, you know, like I'll break the collar grip. So I reach the sleeve, boom, break the collar grip. That's the first thing, you know. And I'm pinching my knees here, trying to control this leg as much as I can. Okay. When I'm ready, I'm gonna be pushing this right hand down. Okay. Let's just forget about this hand for now. So I don't want this leg high on my knee. Okay. So I'll push this down as much as I can. So my right hand is always pressing this down. Okay. And then for the knee cut, my left hand will be hugging this inside leg because he wants to keep it tight in. I want to do the opposite. So I'll be hugging like this. Okay. And I'm trying to open this as much as I can. I want to open the path for my knee cut. If I'm here, he's going to block. Just like we learned yesterday. Right? So I'm here. I want to open this. Okay? And why I like the right hand on the knee, because I'm able to relieve the pressure from my leg, but also it becomes a right underhook right away, very fast, instead of going from the collar. Okay, so I'm here, I go 1. Now when I'm ready, this right hand will shoot underhook. Okay. I'm gonna start cutting my knee. I'm gonna push this knee in, and my head will go above his head. Okay. And as I'm going, I need to post my hand on the ground so I don't face plant. Okay. So it's a lot of things that it goes simultaneously, but that's how it works. Okay. And I'm not cutting sideways. I need to go above his head. So here we go. 1. Let's see that. So your partner will keep holding the pants. Sorry. Okay, you're good. So that's it over here. Your partner will keep holding the pants. Okay. We go 1, 2, 3, 4. And then the last step is posting the hand above the head and coming. Does that make sense? But look at this. He doesn't have the knee shoot anymore. I got to Nika where he doesn't have a knee shoot. Okay. Now from here, he's still holding the pants. I need to make sure I start dropping my shoulder in front of his shoulder, and I just underhook tighter. Okay. Now I link my hands together. I flare my elbow to break the grip. And now we're back to the same spot. We pass from here. Okay? One more time. So often when I teach this, people do a mistake of bringing sideways. When you bring sideways, he keeps holding the pants and he has an issue. You can see that? It's a little bit different. If this happened, what I would have to do is try to, like, if I have my hand right above the head and he's not distancing his upper body away, stay tight on the issue. I can bring my hips forward and then back. Sometimes I'm able to go 1 and 2. Okay, but it's more likely he's going to reset the guard before I do that. You know? So your goal is to go straight above his head and not sideways. Let's say he has strong grip, strong legs in place. You guys see that? Now once I get here, settle back down. I just might underhook, cross face, link your hand, play your elbow to break the grip. And then we pass from here. Okay, is there a way to connect like a video there?
Yeah,
later?
I can.
Later, yeah. I want to show how it works like in a real scenario. Okay. You guys have any question?
Yeah, if his head is too close to your belly when you come in for the when you finish the Leandro knee cut, I see you guys put your elbow on top of his head and like crunch him a little more. Does that help you get the crossface again, or?
You mean here? Once I get here, it's very like that.
Yeah, I've seen you like put your hand on the belt and then use your elbow to crunch him in.
Here?
Yes.
I mean, I could do this. It's more when he's trying to distance himself a lot. You know, like, and I'm not ready to maybe close the gap. I would be like, and I got here ready. I would bring him in just so until I'm able to just underhook. Once my underhook is tight enough, then go here. Because for this one here, for this knee cut, ideally I'm posting my hand above his head. Does that make sense? Because if I get here and I'm posting my hand here, there's too much space. You know, like he's gonna frame both hands inside, and then he can start bringing the knee shoe or even underhook. So for this knee cut, it's a little bit different. I'm trying to base my hand right there, like this, while I'm bringing my knee across. That's why I'm already over the back when I get there. So that I'll go slow. 1, 2. You see how my hand's above the head? Now here, I don't want him to distance himself away, so I'm keeping him tight here while I shoot under the knee. So I prevent him from getting up. Because if I'm here, sometimes people will just scissor the legs and start getting up like this. You know, very just fighting against him, you know. So I want to make sure I have him deep underhook first. Try to get up. It's going to be possible. Then from here, move back to cross face. Okay. Any question?
No, I'm pretty sure that scissor take it back, right?
From here?
Yeah.
Scissor take me back.
If you don't have, he had the other side, right?
You know, if he has underhook, yeah, like this is no good. But that's one thing too. When they have the underhook, it's only effective when the shoulder starts coming inside. See? So what I will do often is I have the collar here, I'm pushing myself back to his hip. I grab the pants, I close my elbow over the underhook. Try to get it deeper. Yeah, while I'm avoiding him from getting deeper, I'm adjusting the crossface like we learned. Okay? Once the crossface is tight enough, I can pass. It's not a big problem. Try to use the underhook to go from my back. It's very difficult. Okay? If you watch like, I usually do this a lot. It works still, like, it's just, it's an easier fight if I have the underhook. And also it's not like I'm looking for this. Like if I can, I'll have the underhook. But if this happens, and I don't have the time or space to circle my underhook in place, I'll just pass like this. I just gotta make sure I have a strong crossface. Because if I'm just holding the collar and I do this, he's gonna be able to find his way to his knees. Because there's no pressure on the face. I have to make sure I'm tight. Does that make sense? Okay. Let's try. 1, 3, 1, 2.